I'm not going to censor myself to comfort your ignorance. Let's talk. In this day, we have information at our fingertips, but we are drowning in ignorance and stupidity, in craving for substance. It seems everybody wants to have somebody that's real. I guess if you would ask, what is real? Well, from this perspective of this talk, real would be somebody who tells the truth, who's, I guess, 100, that, doesn't lie often, because it would be a lie to say that nobody lies all the time. But what happens when they're faced with truth? Well, usually they don't like it. They don't like it one bit. They like to clam up, shell up, and get extremely defensive. Usually their arguments or debates or just discussions will just shut you down, cut you off, or they'll just shut down completely themselves, or maybe bring up tons of other people who are like-minded like them into there, just enough to keep their little bubble safe. Nobody likes their core messed with, their core beliefs. They'll hunch down on it and hold it tighter, especially if you're provided facts and logical statements. They usually don't like that. That's when you become rude or negative or, having bad vibes. So they'll block you or unfriend you or just stop talking to you and then brag about it like it's some big achievement just because they didn't have any factual data in order to combat why they believe what they believe. So, truth. As a person, I am a blunt truth type of person. Like, if you ask me a question, you expect that you're gonna get an unfiltered blunt truth. I have dick and asshole friends that I call brothers because they're like my brothers. They're the same way. They keep me in check. I keep them in check. The world keeps turning, whether we have different ideologies or we have similar ideologies. It's just how things go. So you would think that that's what anybody would want. Somebody who is 100% with them any part of the time. If something's happening, it's on their mind. If you're being slow that day, then well, god dang it, you are being slow. Like slow, yeah. You're just not keeping up at this time. If you're getting on somebody's nerves, then god dang it, they're gonna let you know that you're getting on the nerves. You can ask if I'm fat in this dress, maybe you shouldn't ask that question. That's another thing. Why do people ask questions that they don't want the answer to? Like, if you know they're gonna tell you the truth and you already know what the probable answer is, why ask the question? Why even go down that road? But that's something else. It's the fact that when you have somebody that is extremely truthful, which is what most people say that they want, they tend to can't handle it. And that person ends up being the bad guy or shunned or negative just for stating their side. Or more presumably, especially if it's backed with facts, stating the truth. Now, facts and truth, they do differ. Not everything that is truth is fact, and not everything that is fact is truth. It can be interchangeable, but usually they're close side by side. So, I suppose the question is, why do people shun from the truth? Why do people crave it so much and want it so much, but then when they get it, they shun from it? Well, I think one of the simple answers to that is self-critiquing. Who really can look themselves in the mirror and then be like, you know what? You're wrong. You know what? I'm out of shape and I should fix that. You know what? Maybe I'm an asshole. I shouldn't be an asshole. Maybe that's the thing. It's really hard for anybody to self-critique themselves. And I think that's where it lies. Because people have a built-in perception of who they are. Whether that's true or whether that's false. Usually you can tell by when truth hits them. If they can see that their faults are there, they'll change it. They'll change their perception of themselves. It's wavering. But if they can't, then That's when the problems occur. Nobody likes to be the bad guy. Nobody likes to be shit on, and nobody likes to have their feelings hurt for being them as them. But it's not even really them, because it's like a great philosopher says, I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am who you think you think I am. So my whole persona of myself, not just speaking on me included, but everyone has societal mass, so it does apply to everyone. It's based on what I think you think of me. So your regards to how you think about yourself is completely different than the outside perceiving you at times. Sometimes people think they're a great person, that they're the funniest person in the room, and they're not the funniest person in the room. And then when truth hits them that they're not the funniest person in the room, they don't take it too well. So I suppose, why ask for something that you can't handle or you're not ready for? Why shun from it in the first place? What's so bad about truth? What's so bad about critiquing yourself and finding what your flaws are? Everyone should, in order to evolve and to grow, everyone needs to know what their flaws are. Everyone, every single one. It's not something that you're bashing. It's not something which everybody loves to throw around abuse nowadays, as if it's just, everything's abuse. Everything's rape, everything's abuse, everything's racism, everything's homophobic, transphobic, etc., which those are different subjects. But when you have to really think about yourself, being critiqued is not an abuse. It's only abusive if you're doing self-harm to yourself. I mean, it's different if somebody's just like, oh, you're dumb as fuck, you're ugly as fuck, you know what I'm saying? Constantly, and there's no substance behind it. Like, you didn't do anything. I'm not talking about like, oh, you tried to go forward and then you went backwards in a car or something. You tried to go forward but you had it in reverse, and something that's as little as that, where you had a slow moment and you're just like, somebody will be like, man, you fucked up on that one. That's just critiquing. If you're fucking up and you're doing things like not managing your money right, and somebody calls you out on it, and then you just be like, you're just abusing me. Your critiques are just abusing me, because I don't want to believe that I'm capable of not being perfect and not doing anything wrong. Then that's where the problem comes, because now self-growth can't happen. Now you shun from the truth. Now you'll get other like-minded people that are usually yes men, and that sugarcoats everything, and they'll just, oh yeah, you're awesome, you're the best thing, and you're right, and your growth becomes stagnant. Everything becomes stagnant. And usually for those people that are used to telling the truth or speaking of it, they usually get labeled the bad guy. They usually get shunned, they usually get blocked, and they usually become public enemy number one. Ridiculed, chastised, everything. Just everything in the book. Crucified, basically. But I suppose my message would be like, don't stop telling the truth. No matter what. Like, the truth, from Tupac to MLK to Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, Huey P. Newton. I mean, you can keep going even further back in time. If you want to get religious, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, like, no matter who it is that spoke a type of truth, they've been ridiculed for it. And that doesn't mean you stop. You should never apologize for speaking the truth. If somebody can't handle the truth, then that's on them. You are just the messenger. And if they can't receive the message, then maybe it's not right for them at this time. Maybe they'll never receive it. But your job is just to deliver the message. Your job is to always speak truth, no matter what happens in this day and age. No matter if you lose friends, if you lose family, the truth will always be the truth, whether anybody believes it or not. You have to keep speaking. Like, you have to keep being that person that's going to continue to grow and continue to be the truth in the world, because we don't have enough of it. We have a lot of fakeness out there. We have a lot of people that think that they know, but when they're faced with facts, they're shunned and they're locked up. You don't need that. Always speak the truth. Never apologize for speaking the truth. Always. Just never ever stop. Because once you stop, you'll start lying to yourself. And that is never good, because then you become like the things that you try to fight against, basically. Like, like Nietzsche said, be careful when you're fighting monsters not to become the monsters that you fight against. Like, it's the same principle. If they can't take your truth that's coming from your heart or your mind, and in love, not when you're just trying to be spiteful and just get somebody, so you're just outing their truth, but where it's generally coming from a good place, and maybe you're just too blunt about it. Maybe the message is a little bit too strong for them at the moment. You still never stop speaking it. If you try to think of it in other forms, if you're good at that, to relay that truth across, that's fine. But usually sugarcoating leads to a diluted message, and that's usually never good, because the point never gets across at that point in time. It's not your problem what level of perception that they're on, if that makes sense, because they will only perceive it on what level of perception they're on. That's why a lot of smart people just don't say anything. They just don't question. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson, for instance, like, if you disbelieve anything that he's saying and you're in a debate, then he'll ask you, what proof do you need for this to be true? If you say whatever proof that is and he brings you that proof and you still deny it, then he just stops the conversation altogether, because there's no point. There's none. If you spit every logical fact, instance, you make analogies, you do everything to get your point across to a person, and they just look at you and be like, well, that's your fault. I mean, that's not me, because I didn't do that. I don't do that. It's all your fault. Just stop. Just stop. Don't waste your breath. Don't waste your time. You put your truth out there. That was all you needed to do. But at this point, it's a lost cause. So never stop speaking your truth. I mean, I suppose this is just like a talk time. Like, I would like to know your opinions. Like, why do people shun so far from the truth? Why do people crave it so much, but then when they get it, they don't want it? And why are people demonized that do speak the truth, or whether blunt about it? Like, or perceived as super dicks and assholes, like Charlamagne or any other person that speaks their mind that's out there at the moment. Why is this a thing, when now more than ever we need truth? We need people that are close and won't lie to us. There are so many people that will just lie to us and are only there when they need something. And the people that are there all the time, always keeping you straight, always correcting you, are the ones you beat up and take your anger out on and hate the most, just for being truthful with you. A truth that you need to evolve and grow and critique yourself, the same way that they expect you to critique them. Like, that's how it should be. It should be an exchange like that. It shouldn't be something that's just, oh, I'm mad because they corrected me and called me out on my bullshit. In the words of Joe Rogan, you always call everybody out on their bullshit. You always call out on bullshit. Like, in the words of Jon Stewart, like I spoke in the beginning, like, there's a war on bullshit. You always got to have that war on there. Like, if somebody's doing some bullshit shit, call them out on it. Like, don't just let it pass, because there's enough of that in the world. And we should as a people, as a race, humans, we should value the truth. We should strive for it. Like, we should always head toward it. No matter how severe, how painful, how ugly it may be, we should always go toward it. And we should cherish those who are brave enough to give it to us, who are brave enough to help us with it, and help us search for it, and help us grow with it. As a wise man, Kane Carter, I Hot Down Rock, once said, medicine isn't designed to taste good. Neither is the truth. So far, you sick bitches, open your mouth.